Video challenge day 6, Kaizeners from the High Status Summit. This is the extended 10-minute version. I have to speak about a topic, and today we're talking about the phrase, you snooze, you lose. I'd spoken a lot about this already in the Kaizen group about there's a difference between resting for recuperation and resting or oversleeping to avoid situations. The great Jim Rohn had always said, make rest a necessity, not an objective, meaning that rest is a necessary part of your life. You can't go full out all the time. You have to resharpen the saw, which is one of the seven highly effective habits of highly effective people by Stephen Covey. And even Kobe Bryant had said in one of his interviews about he would practice and then he'd have to rest to let his body recover and then he'd go back to practicing. So it's not about resting is a bad thing. It's when you're oversleeping or if you are using rest to avoid situations and priorities in your life. I was practicing Aikido for many, many years, and my sensei, first of all, Aikido is the art of redirecting your opponent's energy on them. So if they're attacking you, it does more damage to the attacker than it does to you. And one of the actions in Aikido actually is deflecting and avoiding a strike. Now, my sensei had said you can only avoid for so long. An evasion you can only practice for so long. Eventually, you do have to deal with the threat or the situation by neutralizing it or de-escalating it or by handling it. So, avoidance in itself is not a strategy. It's not a winning long-term strategy. Ignore it and it'll go away doesn't always work. So, part of the reason that some of us snooze or oversleep, I've been guilty of this myself, is just avoiding a situation we may not want to deal with. Whether it's from fear, or from laziness, or from a lack of understanding about what a priority is. See, sometimes the situations that we are trying to avoid, maybe we should be changing our focus from that particular objective and switching our energy to another thing that would be more productive. That's not to say that we can't take care of our obligations and necessities and things that we have to take care of. That's not what I'm saying at all. So the question for us is, why are we snoozing? Why are we oversleeping? Why are we not addressing certain things in our life? What is it about us that is not quite developed that we should be avoiding things? And that's a deep question. It's a very personal question for all of us. And part of journaling or even video making is to ask these questions, especially in this kind of format where we're just talking about things. This is almost like a video vlog for me, almost like a video journal entry, where not only am I talking about it to help you guys out, but I'm also sorting through a lot of the topics myself. Now, as a talk, what are things that we can do to avoid avoiding things? Or let me put it in a different way. How can we attack our objectives and really, really understand what's important in our lives? And that has to come from metacognition, has to come from thinking about what we think about, which is what metacognition is. We have to think about what is it that is really truly important in our lives, and then what is it that's necessary for us to deal with those things. It's a very personal thing. It's a very, very, very important idea for us to go through, and I think many people in our lives don't go through these moments where we have to deal with it. We're actually avoiding dealing with our problems, avoiding our own blind spots. And this is coming back to another talk where we talked about the importance of objective eyes, about having a mentor or a trainer or a colleague or a friend or a family member or somebody that you trust looking at your situation and seeing where you can improve. Now, when I was going through a physical therapy session, I remember my trainer putting me through different stretches that I had done myself, but because they had applied certain pressure to me or put me a little further than I was more comfortable with, the stretch or the therapy was much more effective than just me doing it on my own. And perhaps this is oversleeping or snoozing or not addressing certain situations in your own personal life. Maybe that's something that would require somebody else, an outside opinion, an outside viewer, a coach or mentor, to look at your situation objectively and go, Vincent, why are you oversleeping? You got enough sleep. You're a young, healthy guy. You have all the things that you need to. You have all your facilities. What are you avoiding? Why are you avoiding it? What do you really fear? What do you really want? And these are questions that you can ask yourself and write down. So, for example, if you have a journal right now, why don't we write these things down? Ask yourself these questions, because the quality of your questions will determine the quality of your answers. It's kind of like Jeopardy in that regard. The more advanced the questions, the higher value they are in terms of money, in terms of Jeopardy, but in terms of yourself, ask deeper, more important questions to get to the root cause of some of the things that you want to improve on. So, why am I oversleeping? Why am I avoiding this? What do I really want? What do I fear about this thing or situation or whatever it is that you're dealing with? How can I improve on this situation? What is the outcome ideally? So those are some sample questions you could ask yourself that might be able to help you out in terms of isolating the root causes of why someone would be snoozing and losing. Because life is not just about when you're asleep. When you're asleep, what do they say? You sleep about a third of your life. So, for example, the course of the day, if you have 24 hours, and the average person sleeps around 7 or 8 hours, let's just say 8 hours. And if you haven't built something yet, you may be working at a 9 to 5 or something for about 8 hours a day. So that's 16 hours. Then you have another 8 hours of your own time to improve on your skills, to build your relationships, to go for your hobbies, the things to read, the things that are interesting to you. So if you're spending 8 hours a day sleeping, and you oversleep by an hour or two, or if you only sleep 6 hours a day, and you're oversleeping by 2 hours, that's 2 hours a day that you don't have to address your health, your relationships, your dreams while you're awake, and moving forward. So there's a big difference between dreams while you're asleep and dreams while you're awake. And dreams while you're awake have more power over you if you're acting on them. Dreams while you're asleep, I know that in ancient times they would use dreams as divination, or they would use dreams as prognostication, or there's a thing about sleeping on it, which that is something to be said. Sometimes your subconscious mind needs to work on things in order to work them out, and sometimes taking a rest or a nap is something that you need to do. But if it's chronic, if it's something that you keep doing to avoid situations, then it's not really a helpful situation. But your dreams in real life can only be worked on when you're awake. So you guys can comment below. I'm running out of time here. It's almost 10 minutes. What do you think about all these things we've been talking about today? About the saying, you snooze, you lose, about making rest a necessity and not an objective, about asking yourself these questions. The higher value questions you ask, the higher value answer you will get. And then also about working on your dreams sleeping on it necessarily from time to time to let your subconscious mind work on it, but then also making sure that you're awake working on your dreams. Comment below. And as always, if you like this video, like and subscribe. Until next time, I'm Vincent Veloso. Be well.